Did you know that you're a Christian? You may call yourself an atheist, but Ayaan, Jordan Peterson, and Tom Holland will tell you otherwise. Which is why I'm going to start calling them pastafarians. We all are, because we all love pasta, don't we? Of course we do. Please, Ayaan, tell us how we're all Christians.
Honestly, it is, and this is the thing why I said Richard Dawkins is a Christian, he just doesn't know it, is we're all living according to this morality that we inherited from Christianity, Christ's teachings.
And there it is, the new leading piece of bullshit leaving the mouths of Christians today. The latest talking points memo from the Jesus death cult. The morality we inherited from Christianity gave us the tyranny of the Christian West, Ayaan, which people fled with their feet in droves, coming to America where they could be free of that tyranny, despite the obvious dangers at every turn. The morality of Christianity is genocide, which Christians practiced when they had power. Christian morality is slavery, the subjugation of women, the LGBTQ communities, torture, approved of by Christianity's big brains Aquinas and Augustine, forced conversions, the theft of native lands, a complete lack of due process, the inability to practice one's faith or not at all, as one sees fit. And all of that tyranny is backed by your Christian holy book.
We would go all over the place telling Muslims, let's separate politics from religion. And, with the stoning and all that, we would say, if you cast the first stone if you have no sin.
Apparently, Ayaan doesn't yet know that story was added later. It is a great story, though, with a terrific moral. It just didn't come from the mouth of Jesus. And stoning is the punishment your all-loving, all-wise Jesus required for numerous offenses, including, but not limited to, a newly married young woman who didn't bleed on her wedding night. Yes, your all-knowing, all-loving, super-wise Jesus didn't know that a young woman's hymen could break prior to intercourse or not even after. Jesus didn't know female biology, and like a f***ing idiot, decided that such girls needed to die by being stoned to death.
All of these things, I was living according to these values. All I've done really is find the humility to come and accept the source.
No, you've actually rejected the source. This poor woman is so desperately confused and misinformed. For 1,200 years, Ayaan, Christianity had the power to separate church and state. Is that what they did? No, they didn't. In fact, Christians used the power of the state to turn Western Europe into a tyrannous, totalitarian mess where speaking against the church could get you tortured and murdered by the state. Those values you love and embrace, Ayaan, I can show you chapter and verse in your new holy book negating virtually every single one of them, starting with the very first of the 10 Commandments, which goes directly against the First Amendment of America's godless Constitution. Can a woman this brilliant really be this ignorant? Christianity, what you do to the human heart and mind is unforgivable.
And I've been very fortunate in doing that, and I'd say my personal suffering has brought me to a place where I've now got this consistency and I don't live in the dissonance of thinking these are the values that I hold, but Christianity is false.
Where was the dissonance? Ayaan, do you believe in the death penalty for adultery? Do you believe a girl is worth 3/5 of a boy? Would you be okay owning another human being as property? Do you believe that no God but Yahweh or Jesus should be worshipped? Do you believe that any sentient being should be tortured for all eternity? If not, then the dissonance should be ringing in your ears right now, since your embrace of Christianity.
Well, Christianity is just like Islam.
That feels like a different thing. Like there's the moral Christianity, and I'm suspicious of the idea that all of my moral intuitions are a result of Christianity.
Gee, Alex, thanks for stepping in and almost making a point.
But suppose that were the case, the reason why I couldn't call myself a Christian is because I don't believe it's true. And to say I choose to believe something, it almost fills me with hope, as if maybe that's something I can do one day. But it's such an extraordinary claim. The physical resurrection of Jesus, or things like the virgin birth that Richard likes to talk about. It's as if you asked me to believe that glass of water on the table was actually made out of spaghetti, just with the appearance of glass. It's this extraordinary claim that I could try to choose to believe it, but if I'm just not convinced, I don't know how I can assent to that proposition, even if it turned out that believing that made my life better and it was more in line with how I was behaving and all of this kind of stuff. I believe that glass is made out of glass and not spaghetti. And if you ask me to just choose to believe a factual statement that I found so extraordinary, it wouldn't just be that I didn't want to, it'd be that I couldn't. So there's that moral element, which maybe everybody's already living by, and they're already basically nominal Christians in that respect. But when it comes to the truth claims, is that something that you can just choose to think is true?
Well, of course, I prayed, and like I said, in praying, I felt a change. I felt an energy. I felt a sense of calm and peace.
You can get all of those things from crystals, the law of attraction, ayahuasca, and you never have to package it up with slavery, genocide, rape, etc.
And I didn't leave it at praying. I pray, and again, I feel these changes. I wish I could share them with you. But then I also went on to read, and when I read the Gospels, I know I can't, the stories that are told, again, these are first century accounts of things that were happening, and I'm using my 21st century brain.
Not really.
To digest it and to understand it. But if we say miracles are really extraordinary things, because if they happened all the time, they wouldn't be miracles, then I choose to believe.
So Ayaan chooses to believe in the miracles of Muhammad splitting the moon and an angel appearing to Joseph Smith and giving him the golden plates, the miracles of the Greek and Roman heroes and gods? Or is it just the miracles she wants to believe in? Because that sounds super honest.
So I wanted to be honest and lead an honest, transparent life, a life of integrity.
This is a really bad start.
And I choose with the force that I feel, the calm, the peace, the stories. I see a great deal of consistency. And then on top of that, it's watching, and for me, this is an empirical testament, is the communities, the societies that build their lives on that faith.
Again, I'm really not trying to be a dick here, but I'm not letting this go either. We know why you chose to believe, Ayaan, and it has nothing to do with anything empirical beyond your emotional state. It was an act of desperation. You've said so yourself, which again, I'm fine with. Just stop gaslighting us, trying to make it look like it was anything more. Everything after is a post hoc fortification and rationalization. In this case, there really is nothing more. There was a society built on Christianity, and it was every bit as ugly as the Islamic societies of today, which you still clearly loathe. The societies of today, which excel on every metric of human well-being, are those which have left God behind, instead focusing on the principles and values of the Enlightenment and social democracy, where the well-being of people is more important than a God's decrees.
The communities, the societies that build their lives on that faith and live by those laws tend to be happier, more prosperous, more connected.
Again, if she's talking about the laws of Western modernity, she's not talking about Christianity. The laws she likes were inspired by the Enlightenment thinkers, codified in our godless Constitution in direct opposition to what Christianity gave the world for 1,000+ years in Europe. If you like the First Amendment, due process, the ending of slavery, women's rights, the right to privacy, marriage equality, etc., you're opposed to Christianity and Christian rule. Emphatically.
But to clear up for those who are familiar with your piece on Unheard and hear your personal story, you do believe in those truth claims, in the resurrection of Jesus.
I totally choose to believe in the resurrection, yeah. And also the story itself and what it tells us. Mm-hmm. A God who died for our sins so that we are forgiven, so that we can live. And I think it's extraordinary. It's such a beautiful and amazing story. I've got the chills talking about it.
I choose to believe that the movie Braveheart is an accurate depiction of the life of William Wallace, because every time I watch that movie, I get the chills. And his sacrifice wasn't just a weekend gig. Being disemboweled is a chronic condition. There's no pill for that. This might be what offends me most about Christianity. Its ability to turn one's heart and mind into useless mush. She now sees the bloody, gruesome, torturous murder of a man as a beautiful story worthy of the chills? That's beyond horrifying. She gets the chills talking about it because this otherwise intelligent woman has fully conflated love and violence, seeing them now as one and the same. Ayaan, love never requires violence. She now worships a God who preferred and required this brutal, excruciating murder over simply, genuinely loving forgiveness, and who in doing so made us a part of that violence, the cause of it. Worse yet, her God now requires eternal violence upon all of us who can't bring ourselves to see the violence as an act of love. Indeed, her choice to believe it means she prefers the violence as well, both against her God-man, Jesus, and against her fellow human beings. If that doesn't break your heart, nothing will. Speaking of breaks, I really need one. This stuff is exhausting. And I think even Ayaan is getting exhausted. In our final look at her interview, you'll see that Ayaan has really emptied her bag of tricks. We'll be entering a world of pure silliness next time. If only it were funny and not so sad. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching.